Don't forget to subscribe to our channel. And also check out our Patreon page. I'll put a link below. On Patreon, you're going to get the ability to get exclusive content, reviews that haven't been released yet, and also a discount code for 15% off of everything in our online web store. Hi, I'm Mike, owner of the In-Groove in Phoenix, Arizona. So today, the Record Store Day made it official that Record Store Day in 2020 has been canceled. So there will be no official day for Record Store Day. I did a previous video on this where I thought that Record Store Day in 2020 wasn't feasible, and the action that Record Store Day took today, I'm actually a big fan of. So what they're essentially going to do is they're going to drop Record Store Day 2020. There's going to be no mass gathering. But what they're going to do in place is they're going to have what they call Record Store Day drops. So there's going to be 3 months simultaneously, and let me get the dates right exactly for you. So it's going to be August 29th, September 26th, and October 24th. Those are going to be essentially 3 days that record stores are going to be getting Record Store Day merchandise. Those 3 days, 3 months spread out. Kind of the thinking behind that is reduce the amount of people in the store. And I think it's actually a good idea, and I'll give you some reasons why. So we don't know quite how they're distributing the list. So what's going to come in on each of those days has yet to be determined. But that list, I think they said, was going to come out June 1st. So that's going to give you a breakdown of what day you need to come in looking for the titles you want. But this is good for a lot of reasons. In my last video, I talked about essentially what they needed to do was maybe push it back till Black Friday. That might not even work. And although this is a big bummer, this sucks, there is no good solution for this. And actually, I think this is probably the best of the solutions. And I say that as a consumer of records and actually a record store owner. And the reason being is you're separating it, you're separating the liability up essentially over the course of 3 months. So record stores don't have to come up with an enormous amount of cash to outlay for a one-day bang. You don't know how it's going to do. So this essentially lets record stores spread that over a 3-month period. But also something I didn't talk much about in the other video, and I probably should have, was consumers. People having money. So this gives people the opportunity to participate in Record Store Day, possibly get their whole list and separate that over a 3-month span. So rather than having to come up with all the money that day, get what you need that day, and you don't have the money, and then it goes on the secondary market and stuff gets expensive, and then you end up having to overpay for something if it's a title you got to have. This gives you the ability to, spread that payment essentially over 3 months. So that's a real good thing for the consumer. So it's good for the stores, it's good for the consumer. You know, and it also, and I don't know how they're going to do it. I don't know if all the orders have to be in at once, but it might give stores a little bit of an idea of where they're going to be at that particular moment in time. So they might, and this hasn't been official yet, but we might be able as stores to order based on need, and we might be able to order them in 3 separate chunks. Very good thing for a record store if that's the case, because you can kind of gauge off of the first record drop how it's going to do, and you can adjust accordingly. You know, if it's a good day for you, you can bump up your orders. If it's a bad day for you, you can bump down your orders. And rather than coming up with all that money at once, putting all that cash into it at once, and then it turns out your city is still locked down, or whatever the case might be. There's no turnout for you because you're in a hot spot in the part of the country that's having a hot spot. This kind of allows you to gauge it better, slim it down. But the thing I like that they did the most with this particular announcement is they've given us the ability to sell stuff online. Now, you're not going to be able to gouge people. You can't be taking the hot releases and charging 4 times retail. But if you're a store that's in a hot spot and you want to do something as far as allowing people to purchase stuff online at the time of the release, they could do that. So I'm trying to think of how I would probably approach this, and probably for my store what I might do is give a very small window on that day to allow my locals to come in, and I don't mean a couple of hours. Give the locals a couple of hours, but I will probably release the rest of what is available, an hour or two after we're open. I would still thinking how I'm, and as a store owner, I'm ever changing on this, but how do you reopen as a record store? How is after coronavirus, how do you handle your business in a way that keeps you, your family, and your customers safe? So my kind of thought on it was, I always have been a person that has limited the amount of people that come in the store for Record Store Day. If I have 15 rows of records, I let 15 people in the store. I'm not going to let 100 people in my store and start having hysteria where people start. I did it once, the very, very first, it was a Black Friday event. That was our first Record Store Day 5-6 years ago. And it was crazy. People ripping stuff out of people's hands, not flying. So right after that, I limited the amount of people. If I've got 15 rows, there's no reason to have 100 people in the store. That's just going to create chaos. So that's kind of what I did. So it's what I've done in the past. I'm going to continue that into the future. But as a record store, you're going to have to limit the amount of people that are in the store. But this, I think, is it the grand Record Store Day with the food trucks and the bands? And it's not going to be that. But this is making lemonade out of lemons. And we've got dealt, as a country, we got dealt a big bag of lemons. The consumer, the people who lost their jobs, who are furloughed or unemployed, lots of lemons. Business store owners who have been mandated by the government to close your store, but your bills keep coming, big bag of lemons. So this is essentially the best I think you could probably hope for. This gets the merchandise away from the distributors. They're not going to sit on it forever. I said that in my last video. So this is going to essentially allow them to offload their merchandise. This is going to get it into the hand of the consumers. It's going to take a lot of the burden off of the record stores to where they don't have to release, they don't have to commit to massive amounts of product. I just see as a whole, this is going to be a much better scenario for all involved. I'm glad when I read that email. Now I found out about this, the time of this video is the day before, but I'm not going to release it, of course, until the announcement's official. But when I read the email, that was a sense of relief for me as a record store owner to know, that it's coming, that whether your parts of the country are closed or not, I really feel that this is going to happen. This is where it's going to be. Because even if you are in a part of the country that's closed, you have the ability to participate in Record Store Day. You can go into your store and you could probably do mail order. I don't know the local regulations of every single city, but in my city, I'm allowed to go into the store and I can process orders and I could do mail order, and other stores in my city can do that. And I'm guessing that's pretty similar across the country. So it's going to give a majority of the record stores out there the ability to participate in Record Store Day. So, it's early, just found out about this a couple hours ago. How do you approach it? What's the best way of doing it? What's fair to the customers who have been waiting in line for years? You want to give them the opportunity to get stuff, but you also want to have the ability to sell the items and make money. So I'll have to work out the kinks. A lot of other record stores will have to work out how exactly they handle it. But as a whole, I'm really happy with this particular announcement. 2020, no Record Store Day. That's a bummer. And, they didn't mention anything for Black Friday, but my guess is since they're doing an August, September, November, I doubt we're going to see much of anything going on for the miniature Black Friday on Black Friday Record Store Day, the miniature Black Friday Record Store Day. I don't see we're going to see much happen in that particular day. But this is manageable. This is a good overall solution to a really crappy problem. It's not going to help everybody, but with the things I talked about in the last video, and if you haven't checked out the last video, go check it out, because I was talking about essentially the overall problems and situation record stores are going to have doing it as a one-shot, typical Record Store Day gathering. And, I think that's been addressed. I think this is the solution. So tell me what you guys think in the comments. How do you think, I'd be curious to hear how customers think it should be handled. As far as selling stuff again on the website, in the store, leave it in the comments. And again, I'm pondering that, and I'm going to make decisions based on feedback and kind of what I think is best for everybody involved. But don't forget to subscribe to my channel, guys. Until next time.